April is National Poetry Month. So this week for writing, we're going to be working on some poems. And I wanted to show you the two types of poems that you can choose to write this week for your writing assignment. So the first is going to be called an acrostic poem. Acrostic poems start with the first letters of a certain word. In this case, this week, it's going to be spring. And each line starts with one of those letters. So you're trying to write a poem about the topic. Again, our topic is spring, and you're trying to use words that start with these letters. You could also write a couple of words or even a sentence if you want to on each line. So I'm going to write mine. You can borrow some of what I write. You can use it for inspiration, or you can come up with things completely on your own. In fact, I'd really like to see what you think about when you think spring. So for my S, I need to come up with a word that starts with S. Let me think. S in the spring. Well, spring starts with S, but I don't want to do that. That's too easy. My favorite flower is a sunflower. And that starts with S. Sunflower. So I'm gonna use the S in spring and finish the word sunflower. I love when the sunflowers come up in the springtime. And I also plant them early on in the spring. The next word is P. The first thing I thought of when I thought about P was puddles. Because in the spring we get a lot of rain, which is really good for the plants and everything. But after the rain comes puddles. So our next letter is R. R is a tricky one. I thought about it really hard, and you know what came to my mind? Rainbows. There are definitely rainbows after it rains in the springtime. There can also be just raindrops, rain boots, raincoats, things to go outside in the rain because it's nice and warm and not cold like in the wintertime. Have you ever played outside in the rain? Those are my first three words. So my next word is I. Oh, and I know this one right off the bat. In the springtime when it's first warm out, my favorite thing to do is to go and get ice cream. Ice cream is around year-round, but I just always wanted more when it first starts to be warm outside. So ice cream makes me think of spring. And it might not make you think of spring. Maybe you can think of a different word that starts with I. Or this is a chance to use a sentence here and say something like, I like the flowers, or I like walking in the nice grass. My next letter is N. N. So in the springtime, I like to go for walks in the woods. And you know what I find sometimes on those walks? Newts. I find newts and salamanders out in the woods. That's what I'm going to write down for N. And maybe something else makes you think of springtime that starts with an N. You can use that word too. Remember, you don't have to use my examples. In fact, I'd love to hear your own unique examples. My last letter is G, and I already know what I can think of for G. My G word is going to be garden, because I love to garden in the springtime. I like to see the flowers start coming up. I like to plant some new flowers that'll come out in the summer. Spring is the best time to have a garden. So here is my spring acrostic poem. Where was I? So here is my springtime acrostic poem. Spring, sunflowers, puddles, rainbows, ice cream, newts, and garden. Those are my things that I think of when I think of spring. I can't wait to hear what you write about in a spring acrostic poem. So the next kind of poem that I wanted to talk to our class about is called a bio poem. There are two kinds of bio poems that I have included. The first one is just kind of about how you look. So I'm not going to write in this one, but I'll tell you what I would say in mine. So the poem goes, blank is my hair, blank are my eyes, I'm blank years old and just the right size. My name is blank, and as you can see, I'm very happy to be me. So my poem might say, blonde is my hair, blue are my eyes, I'm 26 years old and just the right size. My name is Mrs. Johnson, and as you can see, I'm very happy to be me. If you do this poem, it'd be really great for you to draw a picture of yourself next to it, and then try to make sure you're representing yourself. Draw yourself maybe doing something that you like to do, or draw how you look, or wearing the clothes that you're wearing right now. But that's a really great one if you're drawing a picture with it. Now, the next kind of poem is called a bio poem 2. It's a little bit longer. But the way this poem works is you start at the top line, you're going to put your first name. So I have Emily. And then down here, you put your last name. So I have Johnson, the bottom line. Now, the rest of it is kind of fill in the blank, but there are 3 lines at the top. And those are for describing words that tell about who you are. You could use adjectives like cool or kind. You could say something that you like to do, or even 3 things that you like doing. So like jumping and playing and dancing. But you could also describe yourself. So I decided to do it that way, and I wrote kind, cool, and teacher, because I'm a teacher. So let's start with Emily, kind, cool, teacher. Then I have who loves. I love board games. Some of you have been telling me that you're playing board games at home at this time. That makes me so happy because I love to play those. Who needs? I need hugs. Sometimes I get them from my cat just because I need a little snuggle. Who wants? I want chocolate. That's something that I want right now. And you could write a longer sentence too. You could write something like, who wants to go outside? That's fine too. Who dreams of? This kind of means 2 things. You could talk about something that you actually dream about, but what I like to do with this part of a bio poem is write about something that I want to do one day, or something that I'm excited about. So I'm dreaming of traveling. I would love to go somewhere soon whenever I can. Who fears? Oh, that's an easy one. Mrs. Johnson fears spiders. So when we say who does something, we're talking about ourselves. So who fears? What do you fear? What are you afraid of? I wrote spiders in. And who feels? How do I feel right now? I could say happy. I'm pretty happy. But you know what? I'm also kind of tired. I'm going to write that. You can write however you're feeling right now. Maybe you write this poem right before lunch and you're feeling hungry. Or maybe you are going to play a game when you're all done and you're feeling excited. It's up to you. You write however you feel. So my poem says, Emily, kind, cool teacher, who loves board games, who needs hugs, who wants chocolate, who dreams of traveling, who fears spiders, who feels tired, Johnson. So I will have this bio poem available for you guys to try writing this week. I'll also have this one. Again, you can pick. And then we have our spring acrostic poem. So this week our writing assignment is going to be to write 2 kinds of poems. And you can also look and see if you have poetry books, because you might be surprised that you have poetry books right in your own house. I'm going to give you one example. Almost any book by Dr. Seuss is poetry. Not all poetry has to rhyme, and I think that's really what I want to explore this week with students. So whether you read some rhyming poetry or look online to see some poems there, or whether you are writing your own, which I'm so excited to see what students write about. That's how we're going to celebrate the end of Poetry Month. I hope you have a wonderful week. Goodbye!